everyone, Tiffany D in Cosplay, back again with the Mighty Thor video part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, I will try to link it below. Yeah, I'll link it below, and hopefully this is helpful, so here we go. So up first we have the belt. This took so many different prototypes to get the right shape. If you're going to mannequin, I recommend drawing it on that first. So when I eventually got my paper pattern right, I transferred it to foam, I think about, I'm going to say about 5mm thick, and then I actually traced it again around adhesive backed foam that was I think about 2mm thick, just so I could have a layer that I could actually carve details out of instead of having to stick a heap of little pieces on top. So I'm just sticking those two pieces together, and then I'm just trimming off the excess of the adhesive back layer. So I'm using my paper pattern to try and transfer as good as I can to the foam. This just, again, took a little bit of eyeballing, relying on the text that I see through the paper just so I could see the little dots that I was making, and then from there I just eyeballed it, labeling the pieces. Then I used the wood burning tool to carve out the shapes that are on the sides of the belt and any little recessed details on the front there. Then I angled the wood burning tool just to give each carved area a little bit more of like a bevel, not such a harsh line. Then I went back to my trusty tape method to then draw out more of the pattern. As you can see here, if you can get clearer tape, it's a lot easier. And then I just stick that onto paper, so then I now have a paper template. Cutting out the pieces, and these will be transferred to more foam. Again, I'm using the adhesive backed foam here. Just mirroring them again, cutting them out, and then they can just stick straight down to the front. I always check the template pieces once I've cut them out as well, just to make sure they still fit. Then I know that when it goes to foam that they should be okay. So again, just checking the fit of the foam, and again just making little foam strips for the top edge here, because you can make them whatever length you want and then just cut them down as you need. And then sticking down this detail piece. This is all with contact cement. That's how it's looking so far. And again, back to my trusty old 3D puff paint stuff, dimensional paint for the rivets and raised circle details. You could do foam, you could use googly eyes, whatever works for you. That's just what I had on hand. I did cut out the circles and Dremel them just like I did with the breastplate in the previous video, and now I am just heat sealing. If you do use the puffy paint method, just make sure that's dry before you blast it with heat. This has also been primed with Flex Bond, painted black. It was then spray painted with the metallic red and metallic silver chromey stuff where it needed. And now I'm just going in with a darker red for the details here. This was just like a red and black that I think I mixed together. Adding some weathering in. I did go and do a second layer, as you can see here, just to give that darker red a bit more depth because it was looking a little bit wishy-washy. I do find when you're painting over spray paint, it doesn't grab as easily. So again, these were spray painted with the silver chrome and the details hand painted on. And I've used my trusty little chrome pen texture thingamajig for the little rivety circle bits. And then I just glued on the round pieces. Now these are the skirt panels that I just templated on paper, just eyeballed them. The front piece I only templated half and then mirrored it. Then the side piece is just template one and mirror it. Now this was super confusing because there are so many weird little details on the skirt. So I pretty much just drew it on the paper and cut it out piece by piece, and then traced around on fabric, mirrored it. I super glued bits down that I could that were stuck together so I could stick them down in one piece. I did actually just stick everything with super glue here. I was running really quite short on time. I didn't want to sit there contact cementing everything because you'd have to know exactly where it needed to go, whereas just doing it with super glue, I would do it bit by bit, press it down as I needed to. Super glue doesn't like pleather too much. I find it tends to eat it a little bit, but it's still holding up fine. Now these are the little silver details that are on the skirt, so I again just made a paper pattern and I mirrored them, and then I'm cutting them out, and the second layer again is the adhesive backed foam. And now with the skirt, because the fabric I was using, because this was just pleather that I had on hand, like I have so much of it, I needed to use it. It was white on the back and I wanted it to be black. So I grabbed some black fabric, I grabbed some heat and bond. Again, the pleather doesn't like use a huge amount, so just be super careful. And then, yeah, I've ironed the heat and bond on the back and adhered the black fabric. So I'm just cutting out like rectangles. And then once the fabric is adhered with the heat and bond, then I trim off the excess, just because I didn't want to have to worry about getting a perfect shape, and then just tidied up the edge a little bit anyway. So now we've got a black lining of the skirt. Then the whole thing needed painting because I didn't have fabric the right color. I didn't want to go out and buy a heap of fabric, so I just grabbed some leather paints. As you can see here, I'm using the Angelus brand, and I just mixed up a couple of colors and then a lighter color for the raised details. I did have to do a second layer for everything because again the paint was just a little bit thin, a little bit wishy-washy. So now I'm coming back just after readjusting the color a little bit. This will take trial and error if you do it this way. And then I'm just using some more puppy 3D paint for the weird little detail things on the skirt. This is actually a glitter silver, which, because it was all I had on hand, but I actually really liked how it dried, as you can see there. And then I just started gluing each panel to the belt. I glued the silver bits down to the skirt panels. So you may have to try this on a little bit and just use like a Sharpie to line up where it needs to go. And now I'm just sewing in some Velcro to the back and gluing it to the back of the belt because this is where it fastens and it closes. So it's literally just a Velcro attachment. I did end up doing like another bit of Velcro, so it was like 2 rows of Velcro, not 1, just so it sat a bit more solid. Now these bits are the weird little bits that join the side panels to the front panels of the skirt. I keep having hassles with these with the pleather peeling off. I think I've used contact cement here. I've tried super glue. I have to keep remaking them. I don't know, it's frustrating, but this is what the skirt looks like, and this is how it attaches at the back. So it's just a little bit of Velcro, super easy, super simple. And that's how it looks with the breastplate and corset, which were in the previous video. Now these are the braces, or like the armor, whatever you want to call them. These are about 3 layers. So I pretty much templated the biggest layer first, and then I just kept on tracing around my pattern and shrinking it to get the other 2 layers, and then I just transfer it to foam. And I did 2 of these, obviously because it's 2 braces. Then for the edging, I've just traced around and then traced around the original pattern and then drawn out the edge that I need onto adhesive back foam. So this, you could do it in strips if you wanted to and stick it together to help preserve some foam, but I didn't end up doing that, so I did have a bit of wastage here. And then I'm just sticking them down, and again just trimming off that overhang because it is actually quite sticky on that adhesive back foam, so it will stick to everything. And you know, if you have cats like I do, it sticks to fur and fluff, and yeah, you won't be having a good time. Now I'm just gluing the layers of the armor braces together and just drawing with a pen where I need to glue them down and then heat sealing it. I thought I dremeled, yeah, there's a bit of dremeling going on there just on the edges. And then just using my puffy paint for the rivets again. And now I'm just making gloves. I do this like the cheap, dirty way. I literally just trace around my hand. I just fold the fabric over, I cut out the two pieces, I sew it together, and then I have a glove. This probably only works with stretchy fabric, like this is super, super stretchy fabric. Yeah, if it's not stretch fabric, you will probably need to template your gloves properly. I haven't made gloves out of stretch fabric yet because I'm trying to avoid doing that. But yeah, so I just loosely stitched it by hand and now I'm going through the machine and stitching it properly, so then I'll pull out all that loose stitching. It's just to hold it together and just so you can test the fit before you actually sew it properly, and it helps hold it together when you're sewing it through the machine so the fabric's not going wherever it wants to go. Then I just trace around that glove for the second and just make sure I get the seam allowance pretty much the same size. That's just eyeballing it. And then I put the glove the right way around, get the little fingers out, and then voila, we have a glove. And then I just hemmed the top. So I just folded over the edge, pinned it, and then I think I zigzag stitched it on the machine just to keep the stretch there. Now this is really shoddy filming on my part, I do apologize, but these are the little finger things. So I pretty much just drew the base on like, I don't know, 3mm foam, and then the raised bit I just cut out with adhesive back foam and just stuck them straight on, and I did end up heat forming them just over the shape of my fingers, and that's a little hand bit, made the exact same way as the braces, painted the same way everything else was painted and primed. Now the fingers, I think I actually did stick on the wrong section. I think they were meant to be like more on the knuckles, but that's what I did because I wasn't looking at references. Now this is for the armband that she has. It's like a black armband that was just, I think it was adhesive backed foam that I actually stuck the pleather onto, and it stuck really nice. I was quite impressed with how well fabric sticks to adhesive backed foam, and that's what I've done with these little bits. It's the same fabric as the gloves, and yeah, I probably should have painted the edges, but yeah, I was crunching hard by this point. And then all these little pieces I just glue down with contact cement. And then that armband just has a bit of elastic on the open end, which obviously isn't open anymore, but that's just elastic so I can slide that on and off, and it gives it a bit of wiggle room with the fit. Now these are the braces, so again they were just painted with the same way, like the chrome and the black, and here I'm using the adhesive backed foam. I've stuck pleather on it and now I'm sticking the shiny fabric, and yeah, as I said, it sticks really, really well. So the underside I did glue down with contact cement because obviously the foam's only sticky on one side, but that's how they look. And then yeah, I think they just slide on, or there's like Velcro at the front of it. So this is the leg armor. So I just grabbed a pair of boots that I had intended to wear. I've put glad wrap around my leg and the shoe, and then cloth tape, duct tape. Just make sure it's the tape that does not stretch, because if you get stretchy it will shrink when you take it off, which you don't want because then your pattern won't fit. So now I'm just eyeballing the rough armor shape for the leg, for the feet, for like that wing thing, and then just kind of gauging where I would open it, where I could cut it. So here I'm just transferring all of those pieces to foam. Again, I did this piece by piece. I was labeling everything as I went so I knew exactly where they had to glue together. And yeah, all these pieces again are just mirrored for the other leg. This is the knee, which I did template in the same way, just with the wrap, like the glad wrap, and then the tape. And here I'm just cutting out the leg pieces. Again, this is about 6 or 7mm foam. And then it's just a case of starting to glue them together. So I'm just gluing the little knee cutouts together here. That helps give it just some shape. And this is like a little weird detail that I saw on the leg armor. Now for the front of the leg armor, there's quite a, from what I could out like a bend. So I've actually just cut out a V-shape groove in the back of the 2 front pieces and then just folded it over. So I'm heat sealing everything and I'm shaping it, and then I start to glue them together. And in that little cutout V, I put glue in there as well, so it makes quite a square shape. Probably I did it a little bit too squared, but it is what it is. That's what it looks like. So that's the back of the legs. So I actually had my leg armor attached on the side, like open and close on the side, as you can kind of see there. So it hides under that weird little detail thing that I'm just gluing on now. So that's where they close, and I've just traced around that because this bit that I'm about to put lines in now, I actually dremeled down, so the Velcro that I put in there didn't make it sit super far apart. Now for the raised details, I've just gone back to using adhesive backed foam, drawing more details on there. I've been doing some dremeling of the details at the back, and I'm just using scraps here to get the edges by gluing it together, just to preserve the foam, because I was starting to run out of the adhesive backed foam. So yeah, just to conserve what I had, I was literally just using scraps. The wings were done in the same way, just with layering up the foam and then the puffy paint for the rivets. These are just more details layering up on the leg armor. I did not get as much of this on film as I wanted to, because yeah, I was crunching. So yeah, fortunately there's not as much footage of this as I'd hoped. So I do apologise, but hopefully it's helpful enough. So then I went in with the wood burning tool just to carve out the details and then just refine the bits that I have been dremeling, just to give that a sharper edge and more distinct edge. And just sticking more adhesive back foam, and then making sure the wings will be there. Now these are for the feet, so I did the same, cutting out that V shape on the underside to glue and fold over, just to give it a squarer bend on the top, as you can kind of see here. So that's what the feet pieces look like together. And that's the knees that are in the background there. So then it was just a case of taping everything that didn't need paint on it, priming everything with Flex Bond, and then just going in again with my black base coat. And again, not forgetting all the edges. And then I spray painted the bits red that I needed. As you can see, it's super metallic. It's the same metallic red that I use on the breastplate. And then the bits that needed to be chrome, they're also painted chrome as well. Now I'm just sticking some of the pieces together. And then I just painted some weathering. I just touched up anywhere where the paint had kind of chipped off. And I'm literally just gluing pieces together. And this is Velcro, so I've just created little foam overhangs to put the Velcro onto. So it tucks under, so it hides that quite nicely. So much for watching part 2 of my Mighty Thor video. Hopefully it was helpful. If it is helpful, I'd love for you guys to tag me so I can share your amazing work. The ebook should hopefully be coming soon, as well as a few more. So again, thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe if you want, of course. You don't have to. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye. Thank you for